posted. Donna, I'm wondering if you think there was something more to the way Ben Affleck walked out and looked back all at once. Oh, yes, we're going to get into yeah, let's get into Ben Affleck. Let's see. We're 50 minutes in. Yes, guys, let's get into J-Lo and Ben Affleck. Let's get into it. All right, these two. J-Lo is another one. Okay. And I want to share, okay, love bombing with Ben Affleck and J-Lo, how she's stuck. And I want to share with you guys my experience with the love bomber. Okay, so J-Lo, she is absolutely stuck. She's also using People Magazine, In Style, Us Magazine, Newsweek. Do you notice they're all saying J-Lo's devastated? One of them said J-Lo refused to let go. Or Ben Affleck is cruel. Ben Affleck is a narc. Ben Affleck love bombed her. Oh, no, here's one that really got me, I'm like, oh, now that's interesting. Where she says, and this is coming from J-Lo's camp, she's not going to let go because Ben Affleck, their children are all one as a family. Like, it's like, girl, what? Stop. That's because her people are doing that because J-Lo is stuck. She's stuck because she's a 55 middle-aged female who never did the work. Most of J-Lo, like I always say, she's in my age group. We're in the same age group. J-Lo did not do the work necessary in her 30s and 40s, so that in her 50s, she's mature and well-rooted enough to navigate in and out of relationships where she protect herself. She don't know how to do that. She lived in this bubble. Her employees, her friends who are employees, nobody's really telling her the truth. I would think that her sisters or her mother would tell her the truth, or maybe she don't listen to them. I don't know. But she's got 2 children, and one daughter is non-binary. And Ben Affleck's, I believe that Ben Affleck, that was one of the things when his daughter decided to go to the grandfather's funeral as a boy and be called Finn. So that's a side note. I think Ben Affleck, I mean, these are kids. These are not, they're underage. So anyways, back to J-Lo. I think that J-Lo did not do the work. When you in your 20s and 30s, like I was married, I divorced in my late 30s. After I divorced, when I divorced, I had to bury my father too. So it was a really dark time for me. I ended up going to therapy, but during that time, I dated this gentleman. Okay, let me just tell you this. Okay. This is going to be really quick, but I'm going to tie it to J-Lo. Okay. So I'm in my late 30s, newly divorced. I was good friends with this gentleman. He was like, we would talk all the time. We were both married. We were just friends. I thought he was my best friend. He thought, I'm like, oh, this is my best friend. So fast forward, he ended up getting a divorce, not because of me and nothing like that. We just happened to bump into each other. And it was just so happened he had divorced his wife. I had divorced mine. We start going out. He loved bomb me, loved bomb me. I thought, oh my God, he's my best friend. Oh my God, I love him. Oh, I was on cloud 9, baby, cloud 9. And then the brakes, he pressed the brakes, like slammed on the brakes. Now, I had my kids were young at the time. I didn't need no money. My ex-husband, I had the child support. I was working in corporate America. I need no money. His kids were the same age. My kids, I didn't need his money. I had my own. But for whatever reason, he pumped on the brakes. And I noticed that our relationship, it was like about a year and a half into the relationship. It just halted. And I was devastated. I was like, what the hell happened? I was asking him, why aren't we seeing each other? He said, I love you, this and that. I just need time. I just need time away. Now for reflecting on it. Now he and I are friends now. But what happened was I ended it because I was like, wait a minute. But he had already ended it when a couple of months earlier, when he was saying he needed time. But I didn't want to see that. So what did I learn from it? I was in therapy at the time. And I was hurt. Guys, I was hurt. And then when I worked through all that, and he kept, every once in a while, he would just text me and say, hey, just checking on you. I hope everything's okay and I'm sorry. A couple of times I'm like, fuck you. Like, I'm like, what are you texting me for? Why you doing? Oh, you don't give a damn about me or what I'm doing. And then after a while, and I would say about 2 years, it took about 2 years for me to really understand, you know what it is? He had gotten to the point somewhere along the line, I think that he did not want to be a stepfather. That's really what it was. He looked in the relationship. Now, could he have articulated that to me? Sure. Could he have handled it better? Sure. Did he have to take my heart and slam it? No, but he did not want that. He had his children. He wanted to focus on his kids. He didn't mind hanging out. After over a year we were together, it was like we were talking about moving in. We were talking about getting a house together. And he just did not want that. That's the reality of it. Did it break my heart? Of course it did. So it took a couple of years for me to realize, wait a minute. I think that it's important that you start to, we have our idea of what the relationship should be. But you can't define that for the other person you're with. They have to come to you and say, hey, yeah, this is what I want too. And the two of you together build your relationship. You can't I can't blame him because he decided that's not what he wanted. And I can't hold on to resentment because he did not come to me the way he should have. Relationships are complex, relationships are tricky, and we do the best we can. But the reality was he did not want the relationship. Once it got to the point of being serious, we were going to move in, he just didn't want it. He had about a good 8 years before his boys were becoming adults. And he was just like, no, he didn't want it. So I learned that lesson in my late 30s, right after my divorce. And I probably should not have jumped into another relationship anyways. So once I started doing therapy, I stopped dating for a while, worked through it. And then in my 40s, I was able to navigate in and out of relationships in a healthier way where I'm able to protect myself. J-Lo is in her 50s trying to learn that. Imagine that. In her 50s, mid-50s, she cannot understand the fact that Ben Affleck, along the way, now he was married, they were married for over a year. So she's got this controlling issue. She sold his motorcycles. Who does that? That man is over 50 years old. You sold his motorcycles behind his back. She published this documentary, The Best Love Story That Was Never Told, and shared with the world that Ben Affleck was emailing her love letters while he was still married to Jennifer Garner. That's strike two. You don't think that hurt Jennifer Garner, J-Lo? You don't think that may have hurt the children? You don't think it hurt Ben Affleck? That's an invasion of privacy too. So that she did that. You don't think that Ben Affleck along the way told her, listen, I don't really want to deal with the paparazzi and all that. Can we do something other than going out? I'm sick of the paparazzi. Or why did you expose those letters? Or, how about the feds knocking on the door? Boom, 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 boom. What about the feds? Do you like federal agents knocking on your door? No. I always say, if they knock on my door, I'm pissing my pants because I want to know why the feds at my door. That is nothing to play around with. So he had to deal with that. So what if he pumped the brakes? Don't you think that's common sense? Then he's in recovery. He's an alcoholic. To drink is to die when you're in recovery. I buried my father. I already know. I grew up and had to do years of therapy, living with a maniac father who was an alcoholic. So Ben Affleck had that to deal with. Also, that Puff Daddy, that whole gun mule thing, allegedly. She was carrying a gun. She was allegedly carrying the gun into the club where a lady got pow in her face. So he knows that. And what else? All of that. Oh, the trans stuff. Now, J-Lo's daughter, Emmy, she's non-binary. So when J-Lo announced Emmy on stage, she called her they, them. So she embraced the whole non-binary. This child is 15, 16 years old now. So she did this, at 14? Ben Affleck's daughter went to Jennifer Garner's father's funeral in West Virginia, I believe. This girl stood up. She shaved off all her hair, stood up in a boy suit, and said that she wants to be called Finn. If you don't think that they had Ben Affleck and Jennifer Gardner had an issue with J-Lo's kid influencing her, you got another thing coming. I think all of that, Ben pumped the brakes and said, fuck this, I'm out. I'm out. And you know what? J-Lo should have understood and listened, and she didn't know how to. So the things that I learned from my love bomber when I was 38, 39, J-Lo is learning at 55. Figure that one out. But it's never too late. But J-Lo going to the media, publishing these anti-Ben Affleck articles, it's not gonna hurt Ben Affleck. It makes you look desperate, J-Lo. Let's look at comments. Let's see. Rency, contempt is a very bad sign in a relationship. Yeah. Yep. Dana Harry is trauma bonded to her. They are he is trauma bonded to her, but he better run. He better run. You cannot, he got to go, because let me tell you, Meghan Markle, it's bad. It is bad. I mean, listen, I'm not God. God is always there. All you got to do is surrender to him. And I'm a very spiritual person. I don't go to church, but I'm very spiritual. I'm very spiritual. But, yeah, Meghan's mother, Maggie Madison, Meghan Markle's mother started living with him. Yeah, $100 million contract. Yeah, she moving in all of a sudden. But where was she all those formative years for Meghan when she was, 10 through 18? Where was she? Where was she? Yacht girl, that girl. Uh-huh. Ben Affleck is fed up. Yep, Maggie. He is. Yeah, he is. He can't wait. I did read something, I think it was on in People magazine. I think Ben Affleck's people are starting to chime in. And the article said that Ben Affleck is glad. It didn't say he was glad. It said that Ben Affleck is ready to put divorce behind him. J-Lo's people are talking about this Kennedy girl and all that. What does it matter who he's dating now? He's got to walk his path, and that's really none of your business, J-Lo. His children, none of your business. I know you think the happy family thing with your kids and that blended family stuff, that's only when you were married. Now you're divorcing, so you need to focus on your own 2 kids, J-Lo. Only you and your 2 kids. Leave that man alone. Thank you, that girl. Thank you. Thank you, E. Baker. Thank you. Abu says, I've been stumped really bad once. It hurt, but looking back, I don't regret it. If someone is able to just ghost you, we didn't share any values to begin with. That's true. That is true. You know what? Everybody plays the fool at least once. If you keep doing it over and over again, then that's a problem. But relationships don't always last. That's kind of the lesson I've learned. And I'm at a point in my life, I'm humbled and grateful for what God has given me. And when I meet people, I'm straight, I'm heterosexual. When I meet a man that I like, that I want to be in a relationship with, cool. But I'm able to get in that relationship in a healthy space, and I'm able to enjoy it. And if it gets to a point where I'm not liking it, I'm able to cut it off. And I can still be respectful and keep it moving. If he decides to move on, hey, we don't have to have animosity towards each other. We're too far along in our lives. If it's not working, let's just cut it and keep moving. I wish you the best. Godspeed. Christine says, Ben told J-Lo, hold on, let me roll this up a little. Ben told J-Lo from the get-go he didn't want an Instagram relationship. Did she care? Hell no. Did what she wanted, expecting him to fall in line, looking miserable, no compromising with her. That's true. She did. She didn't listen to him. He said, I don't want the paparazzi. She ignored it. She went and put his love letters out like that. Didn't even ask him. And then also share with the world that when he was drinking and emailing her. Because that was during his drinking days. She didn't care that she hurt Jennifer Garner or the kids. She didn't give a damn because she thought that that was beautiful. Like, girl, that's a whole married man. Like, he dumped you 20 years ago, 3 days before your wedding. And now what, you want to believe what? That he really didn't want to marry Jennifer Garner, he wanted to marry you? Ladies, men know what they want. Like I always say in my videos, I grew up with nothing but men in my life. I got to watch them. When they marry the woman they want to marry, they be loving their wives. And if they didn't marry you, they didn't want to marry you. So J-Lo, you're writing this married man while Jennifer Garner is taking him to rehab and trying to keep her 3 kids and her family together. That's low. And she messed with Mark Anthony allegedly when his wife was pregnant. She did that. J-Lo, you got some skeletons in your closet that are coming out. And you got to come to terms. All those, you got to pay up. Every decision we make, we got to pay up. You got to cash that in. When you go to bed at night, don't you guys do this? When you go to bed at night, don't you think about your life and some of the decisions you make? I think though that's time when you reflect. That's a good thing. And that's why I love my solo trips. Because I sit and I reflect, and you need that time alone because you got to cash out. You got to come to terms with the decisions you make. You got to flesh through that. Only if you're in a healthy space. Now, if you're not in a healthy space, you're going to do all that you can to bury it and not think about it. So you're going to drink, you're going to eat, you're going to use drugs, you may smoke weed, you may gamble, or you may be a love addict or a sex addict, allegedly like J-Lo. She's not reflecting. She's not doing any self-reflection. All those decisions, J-Lo, you're going to have to sit in front of a therapist and go over that. Why did you mess around with Mark Anthony knowing that he had a wife already that was pregnant? Why did you jump from your first marriage and mess around with Puff Daddy, allegedly? Why did you were married to Chris Judd and then you start messing with Ben Affleck? So weren't there a crossover there? I mean, it's between her and her therapist, but she got to own it and grow from it. That's your past. Own it and grow from it. We all have a past. I mean, I had to do the exact same thing. I had to sit and trust me. I've lived and I've made mistakes in my life. And let me tell you, when I sat with my therapist, yeah, there were times where I was just uncomfortable. But I do believe you are as sick as your secrets. So as long as J-Lo keep going and keeping these secrets, she's going to be sick as hell. Love addict, sex addict, because she don't drink. So she work out a lot. She's a love addict and allegedly a sex addict. So those can be just as worse. I'm telling you, any kind of addiction. Okay, let's look at the comments. Dana says it's really tough to recover from an addiction. It's sad that people are harpooning Ben for his addiction. Yeah, it is sad, but you know what? I'm sure if Ben is in recovery, he'll realize that, hey, he's also in Hollywood and he married J-Lo. So in order for him to get his privacy back, he's got to get some distance between that divorce. So that's why he's ready to get that divorce. So as the months and the years go, then he'll fade to black and he'll just focus on his children, his recovery, and his acting and directing. And he's got that production company. And I think that'll be good for Ben because he's actually a great director and actor to me. I actually like him. J-Lo, I wish J-Lo would do more of the World of Dance. Remember she did World of Dance? I like that. I'm not into her movies too much. I just don't think she's a good actor. Although she did play that striptease thing she played, but I thought she was playing herself. So I'm sorry. But I don't see her as an actor, nor Ashanti and Christina Milian and who else was actually singing in her plays. So I do think that she's an influencer. I think J-Lo is beautiful, a middle-aged, beautiful woman who can actually encourage women to get fit, stay fit, and maybe she can rebrand herself and just focus on her kids and focus on herself, her healing and her wellness.